bringing an element of class to the proceedings. So this is a short story. My name's Chris Rogers, by the way. Hello. It's a short story. It doesn't really have a title, just because I haven't thought of one. But maybe later we'll think of that. Maybe that can be the word. Okay. The biting chill of February winds ripped around his feet as he pushed his way through the revolving door, preoccupied as ever with the events of the day so far. Around him the grey shapes of the proletariat rushed eagerly to fulfil their lunchtime needs. Now there's nothing remarkable about the day, other than a nagging pain at the back of his neck. Not so much a pain, or an annoyance. He would have been the first to admit that his mind was not in the right place today. He was struggling to collect his thoughts, and the aching neck was exacerbating the problem. Looking up suddenly, he found himself at the edge of the pavement. In the middle of the road was an old woman fallen on the tarmac. She was struggling to right herself and collect her few possessions as traffic rushed around her. The sight looked so bizarre to him that the old lady had not attracted the attention of anyone else in the busy street, that no one had stopped to help her. Running through the oncoming cars, he stooped at her side and gently pulled her to her feet. There was nothing remarkable about the old lady, clad in a purple skirt and knitted pullover with a quaint design of a poodle. Her silver hair was wrapped in a colourful shawl. The only thing about her was she had a certain smell. Well, actually a mixture of smells. He couldn't pick out one thing in particular to define it. Cut grass, the metallic taste of blood, freshly baked cookies, old unwashed clothes and bed sheets. The old lady looked him in the eyes and spoke. "Thank you, David." There was nothing remarkable about the voice of the old lady. In fact, it was so unremarkable as to be utterly transfixing. A calm voice with a tranquillity mimicking that of the deepest ocean bed, a welcoming emptiness. He could see cars passing by them, but the sound was dull and distant. The pair were surrounded by a haze, as if their immediate surroundings were all that was real in the world. Said he to the old lady, "Do I know you?" Said the old lady to he, "It truly is an unremarkable day." She smiled, revealing a surprisingly youthful set of teeth. He looked on quizzically, revealing his frustration. "Have we met before?" he said. "Should we have? Come, we really must be off now." They crossed the remaining distance to the opposite pavement from where he had begun. "Could you walk me round the park?" asked the old lady. In front of the pair was a rusting iron gate. There was nothing remarkable about the gate, it was just there, only he had never seen it before. It is quite clearly here now, he thought, so it must have been here before now. Of course it is totally unremarkable that I may have missed it in the past. I am often busy with my thoughts at this time of day. The haze persisted around them like a blanket, warming and comforting, extending to the gate, which now, after a second glance, was further away than he first perceived. It could have been 1,000 miles away, and the time between it and them was unperceivable. Then suddenly it was towering above them. "Well, that is truly remarkable," exclaimed he. "There is nothing remarkable about a rusty gate," remarked she. "But it was small and rusted," he gasped, "and now it's glorious, vast and golden, like the entrance to some lost palace. How do you know that the gate has grown? How do you know it isn't you, who has shrunk?" "Because that's not the way the world works," he said in an exasperated tone. "Who are you to know the way the world works? You are just a child." "I am not a child. I am 42 years of age and perfectly capable of deducing that this gate He stopped abruptly, realising that he was, indeed, a child. An infant, in fact, and the gate looked remarkably like the one at the end of his grandmother's garden. He began to cry, "Mummy!" Soft hands wrapped themselves around him. He was lifted to a vaguely familiar shoulder, with a vaguely familiar smell. He felt a familiar safety. "Wait, this is madness!" He looked furiously at the gate as if it had committed a monstrous offence against him. "This is not right at all!" Suddenly the gate returned to its regular, unremarkable self. "I really wish you wouldn't throw these tantrums, David," said the old lady. The gate swung open silently, and before he could say another word, the old lady had passing through to the other side. Although the break in the haze around him extended to the gate, he couldn't see beyond. With the old lady gone, the pavement had fallen silent. In fact, no sound at all could be heard, as if the space had become a vacuum. The only sensual stimulation available was the sweet smell of crisp spring air emanating from the mist beyond the gate. It reminded him of walking with his father and their dogs through country lanes as a child. The aroma enticed him forward. He needed little encouragement, as the silence of the pavement was remarkably creepy. Stepping through the gate, the mist clung to him like a damp cloth, offering a slight resistance to his passage. On the other side, the tendrils cloud snapped back as if slighted that he would want to leave them alone with the rusty, unremarkable gate. Brushing himself down, he took stock of his surroundings. He stood at the end of a path bordered by low box hedges of emerald green, beyond which lay lawns of freshly cut grass and brilliantly flowering trees of many colours. "Remarkable," said the man under his breath. There is nothing remarkable about a garden. From nowhere the old woman had appeared by his side, quite startling him. "That's funny," he thought. "She does not look as old as the one I remember from the other side of the gate." "Excuse me," he said. "I don't mean to be rude, but are you the same older woman I just spoke to on the pavement? Only you look distinctly younger than I remember. Your skin is smoother and your eyes are sharper." "What a nice man you are, David. Of course it's me. I've been here all along. Now hurry up now, we have to get going," said the not-so-old lady. He put his mistake down to the heat of the day. Again he stopped in his tracks on the other side of the gate. It had been a cold, grey winter's day. Now it felt almost midsummer. After the sensory deprivation of the haze, his mind was ablaze with sensation here. Roses brighter than fire lit up all around him. The sweet aroma of blossoms intoxicated him, while the beautiful ballads of the birds made him weep unashamedly. His thoughts raced with confusion. "None of this is right!" he cried. The old woman ahead of him on the path turned to face him. There was no mistaking it now. This was no older woman at all. She couldn't be any older than 30, and she was beautiful, so beautiful. Her bright green eyes were like dazzling gems, and her smile made him catch his breath. The shawl in her hair had switched. Beneath the now silver cloth the lady had flowing locks of multifarious colours. As she spoke, her voice was soft and melodic. There is nothing remarkable about this place. He was lost in a reverie he had never felt before. "I know this to be a tree, but there's so much more here. If you just look deeper, the ants on the branch, the grain of the wood, the smell of the sap. It's so complex, it's so beautiful." "These things are not remarkable," said the lady. "These are facts of life. What is truly remarkable is that in all your life, these things have escaped your notice." "But I'm just a child. I don't know of careers and stress, nutrition and exercise routines. I don't know of science or religion or conflict, good and evil or sadness. And you are my mother, and you will pick me up and show me that rose you are about to pick, and this is where all other experiences, everything else, will begin." And so it was. He sighed mournfully. "This is the only place I ever felt truly safe." The angelic lady scolded him. "Shush, David. You are not an appropriate age to vocalise such statements." Reaching an impeccably manicured ivory white hand towards the rose bush, she pricked the brightest, sweetest, most entrancing flower that ever existed. "David," she said softly, voice soaked with a melancholy born of long years of loneliness. "David, you are too heavy for me to carry any more." Tears touched his scalp, filling him with a familiar sadness. As the rapidly aging lady lowered him to the floor, a dull, rhythmic thud began to reverberate around the park. She fastened him with an urgent gaze. "Take this with you, David. Remember what is remarkable in the world. If you can see the wonder in the leaves of the tree and the clouds in the sky, then after this, even though this horrible thing has happened, you will be happy. You must be happy for me." Turning away, the old woman fled from him. The rhythm of the world had reached a deafening peak, drowning out his cries for her to return. After a moment's more panic, he realised that the beat was his own heart. He felt intense pain and pressure as if it were trying to burst from his chest. Suddenly, with an intense shearing, the path in front split, and the earth he stood on was tilting up towards the sky. In seconds, he was scrabbling on the path that had become an immense and terrible cliff face, and then the path melted, and all that was left was smooth, jet black wall of stone. With a look of terror stretched across his visage, he plummeted into nothing, flailing aimlessly at the vanishing sky above him. Turning in the void, he could see the rusted iron gate rapidly approaching. The grey mist licked out, curling around his limbs as he fell. Then, despite his screams to remain, he was thrust through and into a world of blinding white light. As his eyes grew accustomed to the fluorescent strip lighting of the hospital ward, the blinding pain at the base of his neck made him cry out for aid. The morphine numbed the agony. The good doctor explained the situation to him. "You were involved in a hit-and-run accident. The culprit fled the scene. I'm afraid that your chances of walking again are slim. Several vertebrae were severely damaged. Considering your injuries, though, I am amazed to see you animated at all. It's remarkable, truly remarkable."